the idea that we could have a truly rewarding and equal partnership between America and India to address the problems and the challenges of people with different abilities is very intellectually stimulating, certainly, but it's gratifying on a human level, especially maybe at a time in history when people are more aware of antagonisms or tensions between peoples. To find a cause to bring people together in the service of others is very gratifying. So much, if not all, of previous tactile graphics have been based on visual images, and there seems something incongruous about that, something a little contradictory. And the discussions that we've had that led to the mutual idea, maybe there is another way to present a tactile experience that is not based on a pictorial image. And well, there certainly is, but can this new design strategy be equally effective? Well, we don't know. We're finding out. We hope so. And the opportunity to re-understand tactile perception, not as a, sort of a poor cousin to visual perception, but as its own thing. I mean, if we could do that, we think would be a real contribution, not simply for the blind and visually impaired, but for anybody who gains knowledge by touching the world. And we stop and think about it, we all do that. I mean, I can close my eyes and say, well, this is the table, and this is the computer, and this is the keyboard. But how do I go beyond that to make that not simply a matter of me identifying objects that I already knew were there, but that become symbols filled with meaning, with semantic richness, that then obviously we hope will be able to benefit the educational process for the blind and visually impaired. My friend Jim Durst, who is the superintendent of the Indiana School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, said to me last year, said, if you have to be, if you're blind, there's never been a better time in human history to be blind. I mean, it sounds odd, but what he meant by that was there are so many opportunities through assistive technology, whether they're touch-based or acoustic-based or something else, where the opportunities for a blind person to be a full participant in the 21st century, it's never been this good before. Let me put it that way. That doesn't mean it can't be a lot better. The question of whether it's a specific device like the smart cane that AssistTech is developing, or it's simply a matter of a more cost-effective way to make tactile graphics, again, as AssistTech is developing. That certainly is part of it. On the other hand, you might say, is technology the solution for everything? Well, maybe not. And what are those values that come down to, I mean, frankly, this is one of the reasons I like that I'm so engaged by the tactile graphic part, because it's a very low tech. I mean, you're touching something and it feels like something. It's not a bunch of buttons that you're typing away on your computer or on your smartphone and it does something. It's as low tech as it could possibly be. Touch, feel, think, understand. It's one thing to say, this technology clearly works better than this technology. I mean, that happens once in a while, and people have debates all the time. Is my iPhone better than my Android phone? And that boils down to maybe a matter of personal preference. I think this sort of debate is incredibly healthy, because no matter how right I think I might be, somebody is going to say something, and I say, my gosh, I haven't thought about it. That's a good point. Any advancement like this depends on people with different points of view. It's not that they have a different degree of knowledge than I do, or that they're smarter or I'm smarter. It's not a competition. People feel very strongly about these things because I think the stakes are high in a philosophical sense and in a practical sense. So of course there are going to be discussions and say, well, what about this? Have you thought about this? Good point. Let me write that down. That's the way science always works. That's the way, frankly, technological development works. Frankly, money drives so many of the decisions that, you know, you have to always take that into account. Generally speaking, in America, we're a rich country. Most students in mainstream schools have access to everything they need. And even when I go back to the Indiana School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and I talk to the students, they all have smartphones. They all have smartphones. And you know, they're sitting there playing. Sometimes they're low vision rather than totally blind, so they can see a little bit of what they're doing. But they all have phones. And that creates a different set of opportunities and a different set of experiences that then factor into their interaction with tactile graphics.